What's more likely time for Week 15? Browns, Giants in a big spot, flexed into prime time. Hey, Cowboys, get the flex out of here is basically what the NFL said. What's more likely? Myles Garrett has 0 sacks or Daniel Jones has 0 turn. I made you laugh while you were drinking. What's more likely? Myles Garrett has 0 sacks or Daniel Jones has 0 turnovers. Now, Jones has 3 straight games without a turnover before 3 fumbles, 1 lost against the Cardinals, and Garrett has a sack in 8 of his 11 games this season. So what's more likely?
I like that. You almost made me choke on my call. Get the flex out of here, Cowboys. All right, I could use that in my repertoire. I think there's really, sacks and turnovers. Garrett, Daniel Jones, they easily could both happen. But the one I'll say, Myles Garrett is gonna get a sack in this football game. That is a guarantee. With that Giants offensive line, the way they played last week, and of course, he's the best pass rusher in football off the edge, not named, Aaron Donald, who's not on the edge most of the times. So I'll go with Daniel Jones as 0 turnovers, even though I don't feel real comfortable about that because of the stats you talked about already and all of that. But one thing I know is that Myles Garrett's going to get a sack on Sunday Night Football.
It would be easy for me to say I think Daniel Jones is going to get 0 turnovers because there's a chance he's not going to play. Joe Judge said yesterday that he hasn't decided whether it's going to be Daniel Jones or Colt McCoy. Jones has an ankle injury on top of the hamstring, and Judge said that Jones will play if he can protect himself like he would in a normal game, but he hasn't made a decision yet as to whether it will be Jones or the former Browns quarterback Colt McCoy under center. Chiefs 12-1 at the 10-3 Saints. What's more likely? Patrick Mahomes throws 1 interception, or Taysom Hill throws 2 or more touchdown passes. And Taysom Hill has had 2 straight games with 2 passing touchdowns. Mahomes, as we know, had 3 interceptions for the second time in his career on Sunday against the Dolphins. What's more likely?
Yeah, this is another good one by Pete here. It really is because it's very realistic to think that both of these could happen, especially when you take into account the Saints. We know Taysom Hill, they're going to run the ball. The Chiefs are a team, Mike, that they're kind of what I would call an all or nothing team. They bring the house or they drop the house into coverage. It's one or the other. And that could lead to some wide open people, in the pass game this week when you're worried about, hey, let's crowd the line of scrimmage and let's smother Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara in the run game. And then all of a sudden Emmanuel Sanders or Michael Thomas are, one-on-one flying down the middle of the field. So very realistic there. But I think if I'm going to pick one or the other, I'm going to say Mahomes throws 1 interception. All right, I'll take that. I think the Saints defense is going to do some creative things. They're going to bounce back from that crappy effort they had last week, I would think. That D-line, one thing, and I talked about this on my podcast yesterday, that we just overlook a little bit with Patrick Mahomes, how well he moves. He is so good in the pocket. I think sometimes we give their offensive line a little bit of a free pass and go, well, they're pretty good at pass protecting. But I go back and watch that Dolphins game last week, and I go, actually, the protection wasn't that good. He moves and makes so many plays so often that we don't even make a big deal about it anymore. We really don't. That's how amazing this damn guy is. But I guess I could see Mahomes throwing the 1 interception more than the 2+ TD passes for Taysom Hill. What do you think?
I got a different analysis here. I think that it will be imperative for the Saints to score points if they're going to have any chance of winning this game. So Hill had better throw at least 2 touchdown passes, or they're not going to have a chance because you're not going to outscore the Chiefs if Taysom Hill isn't throwing the ball down the field. Hopefully this will be a shootout on par with what we saw on Monday night, but they're done. I'd be stunned if they win the game without Hill throwing at least 2 touchdown passes. I'd be stunned if they stay within 10 points of the Chiefs if Hill doesn't throw at least 2 touchdown passes. So I think that's going to be a key part of the overall offensive game plan on Sunday for the Saints. All right, next up, Bears 6-7, Vikings 6-7. Elimination game. Not that the winner's going to make it to the playoffs either. What's more likely? David Montgomery gets 75 or more rushing yards for the Bears, or Dalvin Cook gets 100+ for the Vikings, Chris?
Ooh.
And I say that because Montgomery actually has better numbers over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know. And, of course, the Bears defense, we know it's pretty legit. Montgomery and the Bears offense have kind of found their mojo here as of late. We've talked about it a few times. The last 2 offensive performances for the Bears against the Lions and the Houston Texans. I know it's not great defenses, but the offense has looked different. That's for sure. I think if I'm with this one, 75-plus yards for David Montgomery against the Vikings defense, I like the chances of that more than I do Dalvin Cook getting over 100. I think he could flirt with it again, against this Bears team, but I don't think he quite gets there this week. I'm going to go with Montgomery, the 75-plus.
Yeah, I agree, too. And frankly, I think Mitchell Trubisky matches up much better with the Vikings than Nick Foles, despite what Foles did to the Vikings in the NFC Championship game 3 years ago. The Vikings have been bedeviled by Trubisky throughout his career, and I got a feeling. I joked around earlier this week, well, I know what's going to happen. The Vikings will beat the Bears, they'll beat the Saints, and then they'll lose to the Lions and not make it to the playoffs. Let's just go ahead and put the fork in them now. I think they're going to lose this. I don't want to tip my picks coming up later today as our podcast where we pick all the games. I don't think the Vikings are going to win this game, and I think Dalvin Cook's going to get shut down, and I think it's going to be a long day at home for the Vikings. It's going to be, we've seen them play these home games where there's this what the hell's going on vibe, and they finally wake up. I just think against a team like the Bears, they're not going to be able to wake up. Against the Panthers, against the Jaguars, they were able to wake up. It's not going to work against the Bears. All right, Patriots-Dolphins. What's more likely? Cam Newton throws a touchdown pass or Tua Tagovailoa throws an interception. Newton has 5 touchdown passes this year. As Peter King pointed out yesterday, in 2015, he had 5 touchdown passes in 3 different games. He's got 5 total this year. Tua has 1 interception in 6 starts. What's more likely, Cam Newton TD pass or Tua interception?
Well, I can't ever say that I'm expecting a Cam Newton TD pass. Not with that offense, the way they play, all of that. Tua, I know it was his first interception last week. He's dodged the bullet a little bit, in his first few starts, where probably could have had, a few others. I'm going to go with that. With the Patriots, a little extra time, their secondary. I think the predictability a little bit within the Dolphins offense right now because of, he's a young quarterback and they're not trying to do too much. That'll play into the hands of, the Belichick's being able to do some creative things and confuse him on the back end just at least a few times. And Mike, what's the status? Devontae Parker, I know he was a little banged up too. That's another huge aspect of that football game. I mean, we know those Patriots, they're going to play man-to-man. If he doesn't have a guy like Devontae out there, that could be tough sledding for that Dolphins offense.
And there's that statistic about Bill Belichick's success, the first pass through against young quarterbacks, and I don't have it in front of me, but he with extra time to get ready, a little upset after getting manhandled by the Rams on Thursday night, and there's audio of Belichick saying to Sean McVay after the game, "You guys killed us tonight." I think Tua's going to have his hands full, plus enough film. Right? Enough games out there of Tua playing that Bill Belichick will come up with something. I think it's more likely we see an interception from Tua than a touchdown pass from Cam, although I think there's a chance we're going to see both because I think that the offense will be good enough for New England and the defense will be better than good enough. Again, I don't want to tip too many of my picks, but this feels like a trap. Isn't it odd to think Dolphins playing the Patriots is a trap for Miami? It's kind of feeling like a little bit of a trap to me. All right, Seahawks at Washington. What's more likely? Washington gets more than 5 sacks of Russell Wilson or fewer than 2. Washington is tied for 4th this year with 40 sacks, Chris, and the Seahawks have 41 sacks allowed of Russell Wilson. That's tied for 3rd most in the league. I hear your dog barking.
Yes, he is barking. I have a feeling somebody might be shoveling snow out there, and I need to tell him to shut. It's okay, Bentley. Be quiet. All right? So here we go.
You do have a Bentley after all.
I do. Exactly right. It's 2020. It's the pandemic. We're in a snowstorm, and we're doing the show from home, okay? It's just the way the world is
Pete
right
says
now.
Tell that dog to shut the hell up.
I know, right? Yeah, seriously. All right. I mean, this is on the low key a very interesting football game. You mentioned it. That Washington defense, it's pretty damn special. They've crossed over into the line or conversation of like, hey, we're so damn good, we can almost win the game by ourselves. Like offense, as long as you don't screw it up, we'll give you great field position, we'll cause a few turnovers, and hey, we might score ourselves too. I mean, they've gotten to that, to where you have to be so aware with Washington to almost go, hey, offense, let's not mess the game up. Their offense is not very good. I still look at it last week with the 49ers. If they were willing to play a 13-10 game or 6 and just play really conservative, there's no way they're going to lose. They're not. 2 touchdowns by Washington's defense. That won the game for them. I'm going to say that it's fewer than 2. If you make me choose, I know likely it's going to be in the middle of there, but 5 sacks or fewer than 2, I'm going to go fewer than 2 because I think Russell Wilson is going to be very aware about negative plays against this team and that they're offensively challenged, and he'll know the broad picture look of what needs to be done in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is definitely not a let Russ cook game. This is a get back to old school Seahawks and just wear them down and not step into the bear trap of letting that great front 7 tee off on Russell Wilson and chase him around, because as great as he is, he's been caught more than we would have expected this year with those 41
He's
sacks
not as fast
by
as
the
he
Seahawks.
used to be. There's no doubt about that. I think you see it a little. At least I do. It's still fast.
I thought it was just Kyler Murray. When you see the two of them in the same game, I thought that Kyler Murray's speed made Russell Wilson look a little bit less explosive. But you may be onto something. He's too young to be losing any of it. But I don't get it, because that it's not what it used to be. I agree with you.
Yeah, I think it's just, it is age. You're gonna at this age where he's at right now. What is Russell Wilson right now?
32, I think. 32.
32. You might lose a little something there, just a little bit of explosiveness. The other thing too is, you get older, you start to get bigger and thicker, right? That's the case with men for a lot of the times, and I think he's a naturally thick, muscular guy too, to where he's probably going to balance that out, but still elusive as hell. We know that, but I'm with you. I think at one point I just thought, well, there's so many damn fast quarterbacks in football right now. That's why he doesn't look as fast. But the more I've watched, I go, no, last year, the year before, I've seen a few plays where I go, he gets away from this guy, and he's not getting away from it and just getting like those shoestring tackles this year. So, yeah, something to watch out for.
You are right, though. There is a point where the metabolism begins to betray you, and you have to actually be careful about what you eat and how often you exercise, lest your clothes be shrunk by the washing machine. All right, last one. Eagles 4-8-1 at the 7-6 Cardinals. What's more likely? Jalen Hurts rushes for 50 or more yards, or Kyler Murray rushes for 50 or more yards? Kyler has 7 games of 50-plus this year, but none in the last 4.
Yeah, I think between him being banged up a little bit, I think they're a little reluctant to run him. I think they're quietly, trying to keep his injury and him being banged up maybe under the radar. And then the Eagles' run defense is real, and as we always talk about with the Cardinals, it's people have figured out that pass offense. So therefore they've been able to now, okay, I got that figured out. Now how do we stop him running and doing that type of stuff? So I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts rushes for 50 plus. That's going to be tough too, because this Arizona defense, they got some speed up front with guys as far as Hassan Reddick and Simmons, the top 10 pick, and Jordan Hicks, and guys that can run down the quarterback. But I still think since it's new and you don't know exactly how they're going to attack you and do that yet, I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts here. What do you think?
I think we're going to see an overcorrection by the Arizona defense in light of what we saw Hurts do against the Saints. So I'm going to go with Kyler. Yeah. He's 4 weeks plus removed from that shoulder injury. He should be healing up now, and I think we're going to see early season Kyler as they get closer and closer to grabbing the brass ring of a playoff berth.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.